This time I have a Sony EVC3. This is an 8mm home deck. Well, yeah, I guess it's a home deck. Does not have a tuner in it though. Just AV inputs and outputs, but it does have a modulator and it does have RF pass-through. These were used for people to play back tapes. This one here got a problem. Don't even know what's wrong with it yet. I just told that it doesn't work. So we're going to rip this one apart and see what's wrong with it and see if we can get it to go. This deck apparently is having trouble loading a tape. So we'll just see what happens. It turns on. And that's all it does. And then it just kicks the tape out. So we have a problem with this one. Let's pull it apart and see what's going on with this old deck. This is a, what is this thing? An EVC3 8mm deck. Alright, we'll try loading it once again and just see what it's doing. Watch it go through the motions and see why it's not completing the loading cycle. So the tape is down, but it's not, it's either not detecting the tape is down or there's a problem with the loading system. One of the two. It could be the, normally there's a switch that gets triggered when the cassette goes all the way down, so it could be that it's not triggering the switch to indicate that it's fully down and therefore the loading motor is not turning on. Or it could be, I mean, it could very well be something in the mechanism too that's all messed up. These units were not completely trouble-free. They did have their issues. But first things first, we'll check the front loader. So I got to pull the front panel off here. I want to lift the loading mechanism out. There should be a couple screws that hold the cassette housing. That should be, I should be able to remove that separately. And just verify that it's completing the loading cycle. Or even watch it on the side here. Watch the gears go down. Is it loading all the way down, or is it, looks like it's, oh, aha, okay, alright, I just clicked that down. So what is happening is the loading mechanism is not loading all the way down. That is what appears to be the problem, because as you can see, so this has a front loading problem. So let's fix it. Remove the bottom cover so that I can remove the faceplate, because a couple of screws on the bottom hold it in place. Just got to release these clips, and I think that's all I got to do is remove these clips, and this whole front assembly should just pop off. It's been a while since I've worked on one of these. Okay. What's next on this? It's probably a screw under here. I think there's probably a screw under this board that holds the front mechanism in. Just trying to remember how this one comes apart. There's a screw down there and a screw down here, and I think there's probably a screw or two in the front. I'll start with these ones over here. I'll remove those two screws and see whether it lifts off. It's been so long since I've worked on one of these machines, I almost forget how they come apart. And it's been a while since I've worked on one of these. Ancient, old 8mm players. That's out there, and we'll just lift the wire off here. I think there's probably, I probably have to flip down this board on the front. There's likely a screw in the front that also has to come out. And I think the screw down here needs to come out. Could be wrong, but I think it does. Maybe not. Oh. Maybe there's a couple screws that have to come out on this thing. I think this whole front has to come off. Jeez. You know, I have a sneaking suspicion that these 3 screws have to come out and this front has to come off because there are screws behind here that hold this in place. Okay, this should lift, this metal bracket should lift out of here now, I think. Probably doing this all wrong, you know. Oh, I can now get, at least I can get to the 2 screws now, but if this up, I don't have to pull this off. If I lift the chassis up, there's 2 more screws that hold this together. One is here, and the other one on the other side. If I remove those 2, I should be able to lift the mechanism out, or lift the front loader. That's what I'm interested in, is the front loading mechanism. I don't care about anything else. Should be able to loosen these screws and lift this up. There we go. All right. I'll see what's wrong with this loading mechanism. I'm going to check the timing of the mechanism by just popping the side cover off. And see how these gears mesh. First of all, make sure there's nothing broken. That gear has been repaired. You know what? That gear's been repaired. I think it's off by a tooth is what's wrong. We're off by 1 tooth. When this lifts up, this is off by a tooth. Oops. Or the fan gear's off by a tooth. That's a possibility too. This gear here could be off. But just see how this is. I think this is probably off by a bit. That's supposed to be all the way back like that when it's in the unloaded position. no matter how hard I turn this one down, this one's not going all the way down. There's the problem. We got a cracked gear, and it's caused the timing to change. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do to fix this one, whether it can be fixed or not. But that's the problem we face with all these plastic parts, is when you get a gear that breaks, you try to fix it, but sometimes it doesn't work. Fortunate though that I do have a replacement, because this other one, of course, is broken in two, and this is a good one that came from another machine that I had that was beyond repair. I had one shipped in a while back, and it was trashed in transport. The post office did a real good number and smashed it beyond repair, and well, it's been sitting around here for a while, and no one's made claim to get it sent back, so I think I can steal a gear out of it. But the only part that's any good out of it is the gear. Okay, I pulled the other end off the other shaft. I'm going to put this one completely through here and see if we can get this thing to work. At least make one machine, one working machine out of a broken machine. It's always that's always what we try, right? When you get parts that are broken and you can't get them, sometimes we can get parts off of other machines to make things work. I believe this goes on first, like that, and then this one goes on next. It drives it, and then this half gear. This is the full gear version. I've got a half gear version too from the other one, but I don't know if it's the same. Is it the same size or is it different? This is a different size. The other one, the midway gear, was different. This midway gear was different on the other mechanism. So we'll put this one back on. Goes on like that, I believe. Okay, let's just try loading that tape and see if it goes all the way down this time. Okay, you guys, someone's going to say 3D print it or get a 3D printer, do it yourself. You can find the files. Well, whether the files exist or not, I don't know. That I couldn't tell you. But what I can tell you is that I don't have a 3D printer. I don't have any desire to get a 3D printer and learn how to do it. So for that, that's not going to work. Okay, this has got to go down now. Without the side cover on this thing, it's quite dicey, because things will spring apart. I just want to see if it'll snap in. Good. Okay, that snaps in now. That's good. Let's try putting the side cover on and the tape door and see whether it will, whether I can wind it back up by hand. This goes in. That snaps in like that. Okay, if I pull this pin over here to release this, goes up that way, lifts the door, and ejects the tape. All right, let's put this back together. Got to lift the chassis up from below and get the hole aligned properly so that I can put that screw in. That's what holds the mechanism in place. That was one of the things that was smashed on the one that was shipped in, was the front loading mechanism was all broken here. So there was no way to put it back together because there was plastic pieces that were just completely missing. And they're kind of important. Otherwise the front loader will just fall apart. Put these back together. Alright, so I got this back together. I'm going to plug it in now and see whether it'll load a tape. I don't know whether it will at this point or not. We'll find out pretty quick. Well, that didn't work. Oh, you know what? It might be, the switch might be in the wrong position. I bet you that's what it is. I gotta reseat this thing. Okay, I just repositioned one switch that didn't appear to be in the right position, and that was a switch down here that is used to detect when the mechanism's down all the way. This switch was sitting on the other side of this little plastic piece. The switch was sitting over there, so I just repositioned that. I think that was all that's wrong with it. I guess we'll find out if it'll load a tape or not. That's a good sign. Well, that did weird things on eject, but at least it loaded and ejected the tape. Will it transport the tape? Where's rewind on this thing? Stop, pause, fast forward, play. This must be rewind here. Okay, that part works. I don't know if it plays or not. I guess we'll find out pretty quick. I do see a picture. Excellent. It's playing. There. It's playing. That's good. Now when I eject the tape, what happens? Is it going to do weird things? Well, it winds the tape real forward when it's ejecting. I don't know if it's supposed to do that. I don't think it's supposed to do that, but hard to say why it did that, whether the brakes are worn out or fast forward. Oh, fast forward and rewind works. What happens if it, at the end of the tape? Okay, if I eject now, what happens? Okay, well, it just ejects it at the end of the tape. Well, at least that part's working. Let's rewind the tape. Well, it appears to work. I mean, some of these machines, like my tape rewinder, for example, when I hit eject, it winds forward quite a bit as it's ejecting. So I don't know whether that's how this thing's supposed to operate or not, because it's been so long since I've seen one of these units. Like, you're just broke again. Look at that. That's how brittle that plastic is. It just broke in my hands without even doing much to it. So this one's good now for a while. Hopefully it'll stay good for, well, who knows how long it'll stay good for, but it's functional again. Another piece I got off the deck that was all smashed up was the front glass. I mean, the rest of the front panel was smashed into pieces, if you guys remember it from a couple of years ago. But the front glass, I was able to peel it off from what the remnants from it. It's just held in place with double-sided tape. This one's missing, so I might get some. I think I'll try to put this on with some super glue, see if that'll hold it in place. Put some of this crappy super glue that comes from the dollar store that after you open it up, it doesn't last very long. I'll throw some of that around here. Just a little more on there. And then we'll stick on the bezel and let it set up. So let's make sure that the back side of it is clean. And then we'll just drop this in and let the glue set up. Okay, I'll eject the tape first. Put the front panel on. There, now it is. Now it's on. The bottom on it now as well. I already get the bottom back on, as I also have on the face plate. We'll throw a tape in it now and just make sure that everything is working as it should. Oh, you know, I'm going to lubricate this mechanism. Yeah. I got a picture. That's good. Let me just get my grease out. The mechanism looks kind of dry. We'll throw some grease on this mechanism. This is the MG Chemicals 8461 white lithium grease. This is what I'm going to use. This is the replacement for the Moly Coat that I was using in the past because I don't have any Moly Coat. I've run out of it. But this is the same stuff, or very, very close. This is equivalent. And this is what you want to use to lubricate transports and grease mechanisms, etc. It's a hell of a lot better than that black grease that they used to have at the factory, which was terrible, terrible stuff that turned into glue, basically. So I'm just going to put some in here along the, not there, didn't want it there, along the rails here. We'll just put a little bit in here. We don't need a lot. It will work in loading and unloading it a few times. So we'll just put a little bit along the path of the guides and then proceed to load a tape and unload it a few times. And this will grease the mechanism. See if it will eject my tape okay, which it did that time. And there is playback. This is a video that Sony put out called Great American Scene. And I know I could use that without getting hit with copyright. Pretty sure I can anyway. I've used it before. Bird's Eye. This one's called, I think this is Bird's Eye. Bird's Eye, and there's another one, the Grand Canyon stuff that was on a beta tape that I had years ago. Anyway, it as you can see in here, it's working. So an old 8mm player lives, and it looks a lot better now with that front glass replaced. As you can see, much better. So this transport was the M loading, 8mm. Some of them, the earlier ones, used the U loading, which looked very much like a Betamax or a Betacam recorder that used the Omega load, they call it, the U loading. I think the U loading was superior to this, but it required more space for the loading wheel, the loading arm that spun around. So to make a more compact mechanism, they went to this design. This was used in a lot of the earlier camcorders too, where the mechanism actually wound its way in, and the tape actually overlapped the drum, just to make it smaller, like more compact. But it works. You know, it certainly it works as well as anything else, I guess. But it's working. We'll do I'll probably do a test recording on the other tape. We'll do some color bars. Make sure it's going to record okay. There we go. Alright, I got some color bars plugged in now. And... oh, wait a second. There we go. Well, I'm recording now. So I got the record light on, as you can see. I'm recording just some music off my MP3 player with color bars. And we'll just see how this records. This has both record speeds. It has both the SP and the LP speed. So I'll switch it down to LP while I'm making the recording here. Where's my... get a counter reset button. There we go. Alright, so let's switch it down to LP, if it'll do it while it's running. I guess I have to stop it first. We'll pause it and switch to LP. Okay, now it's recording at LP, and I'm going to reset my counter so I know where it switched. I don't expect the chroma to be anywhere as good, probably a lot more noisy in the LP speed. That should be plenty, I would think. We'll play this back. Rewinding it back now. Guess I can unplug the sound. Let's see what we got off tape. Okay, that was what was on the beginning of the tape. There's where my color bars cut in. Nice creases in the tape, as you can see. Yeah, that stability problem is because there's creases going past. This is an old chewed up tape that goes in a variety of cameras and so forth of unknown quality, and it does tend to get chewed up, but that's okay. In about 15 seconds I'm going to change it to the LP speed, complete with all the creases. And it should switch down in about 5 seconds. You'll see noticeably the picture should change. There we go. Now it's in the LP speed. Not really much difference, is there? The chroma is a little noisier, but it, you know, records the sound okay. It's a mono sound on this one. You'll hear noise when that crease goes by, and of course it takes it twice as long to clear the heads. And then when the recording stops, it'll go back to what I had recorded on there before, which was just some of my test footage that I shot when I was down the California coast about, I think it was 2018 that I did this. I'm pretty sure this was 2018. That was the last time I was down there. It was either 2017 or 2018. Last time I was in the States, well, other than to go and buy gas. As COVID hit after 2020, COVID hit, and I haven't been back since. This is the time I went down the coast, and it ended up I couldn't get all the way down because the road was washed out around, I think it was Big Sur, where there was a bridge out on Highway 101. So my trip got kind of changed around, and I was going to go through testing a camera. I was heading down anyway. Ended up we were going to go through Vegas and head over to Grand Canyon and stuff. But because I was going to go down through San Diego and come up that way, but because the highway was closed, we had to turn around and go back, and it changed our itinerary a little bit. And let's just say I ended up in Vegas a day early, and didn't realize there was a poker tournament going on, and every place was fully booked at $1,000 plus a night. And I said, this is ridiculous. I'm not paying $1,000 to stay in a hotel for one night. So we kind of changed our plans, got out of Dodge, and went to Lake Tahoe, and then started working our way back that way. But that was the last time I was down there. Anyway. Just this was testing a camera, but this machine here obviously is working. It records, it plays. So we've saved another one from the scrap heap. That should be good enough for a test. Oh, look. Whales. We got some whales when I was filming that day. Actually, we got some shots of whales and sharks along the coast there. Anyway, this does not do it justice, believe me. This was all shot in 4K. And yeah, looking at the down-res version off of tape does not do the picture justice, that's for sure. There she blows. Or is it, there she blows? Anyway, this one's fixed. Time to throw it together. Top cover for this one. So there it is. Good as new. Thanks for watching.